David Fisher again at Buxton CC, 6th of June 2018, talking to Bob Marsden. Bob, we were talking earlier about Buxton's passage through different kind of leagues, so you've seen in your time here that there are different leagues. Do you think there's a kind of high peak character to cricket in Buxton?
A high peak character? Yeah. Well, I think the High Peak's quite a proud little area in terms of its cricketing. There's a lot of clubs, and comparatively, I would say, I think the village clubs up here in the High Peak are surviving and thriving better than in other parts of Derbyshire.
Yeah.
And I think there are reasons for that. I'll tell you the reasons if you want to know them.
Well, let's hear a few.
Okay. Well, all credit to the Derbyshire and Cheshire League, who've insisted that clubs have to have 211s and insist that they have to have junior teams, which hasn't been a requirement of all leagues. And therefore, north of Buxton, here up in the High Peak, we have a lot of village clubs close by that are thriving, whether that's from here, Doveholes going forward, Chapel, Whaley, Buggy, New Mills, Hayfield, Birchvale, all very close together. And yet, and surviving, and in some cases thriving, but south of Buxton, all with 211s, south of Buxton, we have clubs that are folding. So sadly, Tideswell cricket's no longer played at Tideswell. They've amalgamated with Baslow, so that ground at Tideswell, and we have a number of clubs that have 111, just a first 11, whether that's Ashford or Bakewell. Cricket's no longer played at weekends at Carver. Stanton in the Peak, fantastic ground, absolutely glorious ground. They're not playing any weekend cricket there now, and I think the Derbyshire and Cheshire League require great credit because they have insisted that clubs have 211s and junior teams, and that's why cricket north of Buxton comparatively is thriving, and south of Buxton is potentially struggling. I don't want to get into trouble, but if you've only got 111, if you've only got a first 11, you are a stag do or a summer holiday away from not fulfilling your fixture, and that can lead to all kinds of problems. And if you don't have to have juniors, you probably won't have juniors.
So it's not so much a regional character as such; it's more like the organisation.
Well, I think but a proud area that's kept its cricket going and insisted on it, and a lot of competitive elements to it. Local villages playing each other, so I think those are particular reasons why, as I said, comparatively, cricket is more than surviving; it's thriving. Whereas in other places, I think it's a real struggle in the village clubs.
Yeah, and Buxton's obviously the big town in High Peak. Do you find it adds to people's sense of excitement to beat you because they've beaten the big town, or is it just
they hate us?
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, I think for a variety of reasons, lots of the villages, want to put one over on Buxton. Historically, it's been the big town club with the big ground. The county played here, and probably with some justification, Buxton thought of itself as a little bit superior, which I think sad. And village clubs love to do one over on in theory the big club, though I think I just think that's the way it's been.
How successful have they been at this in recent years?
Well, I think some of the village clubs up in the High Peak have been much stronger than us. That's simply that's the truth of it.
Do their players work harder on the?
I'm not sure it's necessarily work harder. I think that Buxton has had a period of decline for a variety of reasons, as clubs do. They come and go, and we've had as I said, a period of decline, and some of the local village clubs have enjoyed beating us.
Yeah, Buxton's nevertheless, it's kind of a regional centre, though, isn't it? You must have some kind of.
Well, I think inevitably, in theory we are the town of the area. Probably, obviously, the next one's Glossop.
Yeah.
And we have, we have a significant population. 21,000, 22,000. So we have some standing.
Absolutely.
Hold on. I'm in an interview at the moment. Nothing's on tonight. No. You'll be able to watch it.
He will. You're going to encourage him. Oh, right. Okay. Back to Buxton. Who was that chap anyway?
He's one of our very friendly bowlers.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. We mentioned earlier you've got a fairly good rapport with the bowling group and the tennis group.
Yeah. And the bowling clubs. I don't actually know how long the bowling club has been here, but the tennis club came here in the 1960s. I think when they used to play in the Pavilion Gardens, and then the cricket club invited them to come and build their courts here.
Yeah. Okay. Other things about Buxton CC then, the makeup of the players. You see, sometimes you've had struggle to get people here, but you're still keeping the 11s going. How do you bolster this? So you get your professionals, your overseas players.
Well, historically, when we played in the old North Staff South Cheshire League, we did have a professional. There's been a kind of long-standing tradition at Buxton having a professional. We then stopped having a professional. Basically the club had run out of money, and also there was some discussion about whether they were worth it. I think every club would identify that. Sometimes you get a good professional, sometimes you don't, and you really want people who offer a lot to the club. So we had a professional. The way we get our players is by word of mouth, by publicity. We encourage. I'm always encouraging our players to say, why don't you come and play? I'm always encouraging us to. We've done a bit of advertising actually on High Peak Radio.
Good. Yeah.
Saying, we're here. Interestingly, when we started our third team, which was a big move for us, we did a lot of advertising and trying to get out word of mouth. We're looking for new cricketers, and undoubtedly, I think it had an effect because people said, I heard you're starting a new team, and it just raised the profile of the club.
Have you got room for the Sunday afternoon duffers? Yes, we have.
That's right.
If there's enough of you coming along.
No, actually, interestingly, I'm personally very committed to the idea of cricket for everyone, and that means your top ambitious club player. We want them here at Buxton. But we want cricket for everyone. We want cricket for the dad who wants to play in the third team. And interestingly, over the last few years, we've had a number of people who've not played cricket but have taken it up and doing well. I don't think it's an easy game to learn actually, to learn well, but they have.
Yeah. Have you been doing any coaching in that time? Because you've had a little bit of a period of.
Well, we've got a number of coaches, and in terms of our youngsters, but we also have actually this season and last season we've taken on AJ Harris, who used to play for Derbyshire.
Well, we've heard of him.
Yeah, who lives in Buxton.
Yeah.
And I was keen to get him to come to the club, and when he stopped working for Derbyshire County Cricket Club, he had a bit more time. He set up his own coaching academy, and so he's helping us with a number of things.
Oh well, you've got is that boosting the performance, or just in boosting enthusiasm?
I think that AJ has been good at technical things, but also mental things as well. He's strong on getting people to think right and prepare well for club cricket. And the great thing about AJ is he was a first-class cricketer who took 470 first-class wickets. I always get it wrong.
Yeah.
But he
took enough anyway.
But he also played in the county championship winning side. But also he's a club cricketer because his family are very involved at Tintwistle and still are. And AJ has played for Tint, and he understands club cricketers, which not all first-class cricketers, not all county cricketers really do understand. But AJ, is
he remembers where he's from. And
I think it's true. I think it's really important. I mean, sometimes you get first-class cricketers come down and playing club cricket, and you wonder how interested they are and how motivated and how much they understand. Whereas AJ is good because he still plays occasionally for Tint, and he understands that's where he's from. He's from the club game. Yeah,
but you as such at the moment you don't actually have a professional player.
No, we don't. Every club has to decide. I mean, I know some of the top league clubs have professionals and paid players and so on. At the moment, we've decided not to, but we may take on an overseas amateur next year. We probably will.
Yeah. Well, that's quite interesting in terms of when talking to Neil Kellogg at Spondon, because they don't have professionals either, but he told us gave us a really great 5 minutes or so about taking Colin Ingram on. There's this 19-year-old full of enthusiasm. So that's probably the sort of thing you're more interested in, maybe.
Well, I think probably next season we'll look to see if we can get somebody who'll come over, an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and he'll come and wants to play cricket and improve themselves and hopefully contribute in the club. And who knows? I mean, there's plenty of clubs who've discovered, whether it was Shane Warne at Accrington, or also down in Bristol. He played down in Bristol, didn't he, for a while, and lots of other people who've had great test stars as 18 or 19-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, I think this was something that Neil was touching on as well. You see, so you've got it's across the county, but you see still finding the same commonality.
Yeah.
And then other things cropping up locally. You've got a few sponsors, I think.
Yeah, we've worked hard at that over the last few years. There's a number of key club volunteers.
How do you draw them in?
Well, actually, that's just hard work.
Yeah.
Just going and asking whether it's match sponsors, exploiting, opportunities. For instance, we had a new scoreboard built at the end of the ground, and we went to Markovitz. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention nut firms, but
I don't see why not. They're giving you money. They can
and they provided the materials, so they, so there's things like that. Local firms. And again, interestingly, there's much more potential in a town like this. People want to support local sports clubs and voluntary clubs, and we've had a match sponsor the last 2 years. We've got a member called Wendy Smith, who's done a great job at just going around to companies, individuals, and just saying, will you sponsor a match for this amount of money, and she's filled the list. So that's 3 teams, all the home matches. So it's been great.
Yeah, so this is basically local businesses in the Buxton.
Yeah, we say that, and we advertise. We put on our website we have a new scroll that says this week, the match is sponsored by so and so.
And how is it that they help in a tangible way? New scoreboard, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, just. Clubs need, to put it bluntly, clubs need money and they need support and they need a profile, and we can offer them something. Hopefully they can offer us something. I mean, if we say we're sponsored by this company and we have 70 juniors plus parents, we probably have contact with 300 people in the club. So that's quite a number of people that we can say, look, we're being sponsored by this. So it can work both ways.
Yeah, so essentially they're getting their name known.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But nevertheless, everything that helps welcome, isn't it?
Yeah, and the bottom line is that companies will give us a bit of money. I constantly challenge people in the club to think about how much it costs to keep the club running. Most club cricketers are clueless. Sorry, that sounds rude, but they are clueless about what it costs to keep an outfield cut, a square done, the surrounds done, what it costs to do a coaching course. The DCB are good at subsidising, there's various ways you can subsidise, but people are generally clueless at what it costs. I mean, if you ask people what's the average cost of a wicket mower, they wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know.
Well,
I'm not going to guess.
A really good quality wicket mower new is the same price as a small new car virtually. I mean, it's ridiculous on one level. So a lot of them you get second hand, but even to get good things second hand, you're talking £3,000.
So how's that helped with your ground development? Obviously, it looks wonderful now because you mentioned the 2 chaps earlier.
And also you need to remember that there's been people who've worked hard on the ground for many years. Whether it's on the square here, we've had 2 people, Nick Smith, and before that Alan Burgess, who worked very hard on the square. They had help.
Looking after the trees, perhaps?
Well, interestingly, We have actually had quite a lot of communication with the tree officer, High Peak tree officer, Monica Gillespie, and we have regular ongoing discussions because the glory of a ground like this is the trees on one level,
exactly,
whether it's the beech trees here, lime trees, sycamores, oaks, and a number of trees have come down over the last few years because a lot of these trees are mature, they're getting to the age where they could be weakened for all kinds of reasons, and we've had 2 or 3 come down. We had one actually which fell straight across Park Road and crushed a number of cars. And then the High Peak Council came in and they took down 1 or 2 others that were diseased. And I said to Monica, the tree officer, look, it'd be great to regenerate this so that in 50 years, when people are still playing cricket here, they have the same feel to the ground because the trees are magnificent here. And so we've planted some oaks, we've planted some beech, we've planted some limes and other grounds. So I think it's important, again, that's part of kind of, we as a committee felt that's important to hopefully in 50 years when people come, if these beech trees have come down, there are other beech trees that have grown.
That's kind of an example where you can make a contribution to the town.
Yeah. Well, I love town grounds. I mean, I love any type of cricket ground, really. Whether it's a factory works ground or a village ground, but I particularly like town grounds. They have a particularly unique flavour when you're in the middle of a town, and
you can just hear the traffic going past.
Well, and I love it because it's when you come into a town ground, it's like a little haven in the middle of busyness. I can give you some examples of that. But we're only 5 minutes from the town centre here. We've got loads of parking, and I just think it's a magnificent ground to have very close to the town centre, and which will never be built on because it's indenture. There's an indenture that is under trust. Some clubs, of course, who have had a town ground, they've had a developer come in and say, we'll offer you N million, and they've been able to move out of town and have fantastic facilities. I mean, that will never happen here.
No, this has got its character, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And a lot. If you move to a new ground, as a number of clubs, I mean, I've seen that happen with a number of clubs down south. Actually, their ground in the middle of town has become a supermarket or a housing estate, but they've moved out, and inevitably grounds take years to mature. And they can be a bit soulless, actually, new grounds. You have to work hard. I think it's possible to do it, but I mean, has it pluses and minuses?
Okay. Buxton CC has got a little bit more to go with integrating, but I think we'll hear about that in another chat, I think, because sadly we're running out of time. Well, anyway, once again, Bob, thanks very much.
Thank you.